Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today on this incredible journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, mysterious minting blunders, and the unbelievable stories that transform an everyday piece of pocket change into a fortune worth millions. Because in this episode we are diving into the astonishing case of the 1991 cent coin that has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike by reaching a rumored valuation of up to $11 million, not because it is made of precious metals, not because it was designed to be rare, but because of its bizarre errors, strange mistakes, and unique circumstances that have made it one of the most desirable pieces in American numismatic history. And as we unfold the layers of this story, you will understand why a simple coin that most of us might have overlooked or spent without a second thought could hold secrets worth life-changing sums of money. And it all begins with the understanding of what the 1990 penny was supposed to be. A standard Lincoln Memorial cent struck in copper-plated zinc with Abraham Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, struck in the billions by the United States Mint in Philadelphia and Denver. But among these billions of coins lurked a handful of pieces unlike the rest, coins that displayed minting errors, design mix-ups, doubled features, and in some cases missing marks that completely rewrote what collectors thought possible. And while most 1990 pennies are still worth a single cent, the small fraction that slipped through the minting process with extraordinary mistakes now carry astronomical value because of their uniqueness. And this is where the story begins to get even more thrilling, because one of the most famous varieties associated with 1990 is the so-called no-S proof cent, a coin that was supposed to have the San Francisco Mint mark as all proofs from that mint traditionally do, but a few examples left the mint without the identifying S mark on the obverse, a minting oversight so rare that only a few dozen have ever surfaced. And while this may seem like a small detail to most people, in the world of numismatics it is the equivalent of a priceless painting missing the artist's signature, making it instantly distinguishable, highly coveted, and worth millions to the right buyer. And to add to that intrigue, there are also 1990 cents with doubled dies where the inscriptions such as Liberty or In God We Trust appear to have been struck twice due to misalignment during the minting process, creating a ghostly overlapping effect that collectors immediately recognize as a prized error. And these double dies can vary in intensity from barely noticeable doubling on the letters to dramatic replications that almost look like shadows following the text. And as we think about these double dies, we can imagine the thrill of spotting one in a handful of loose change, the rush of adrenaline when realizing that a single penny might carry an error that turns it into a treasure worth thousands if not millions. And beyond double dies, there are also off-center strikes in 1990 cents where the coin planchet was not properly aligned under the dies, leading to Lincoln's bust being shifted far to one side with a large blank crescent on the edge, a mistake that gives the coin a bizarre and eye-catching appearance. And the more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the potential value, especially when the date is still fully visible, because collectors need to see that 1990 stamp to authenticate the error. And then there are broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its intended rim due to striking without the collar that normally shapes its edges, creating oversized distorted pennies that immediately stand out as mint freaks of nature, each one unique and each one a magnet for collectors who chase unusual production errors. And while all of these mistakes add value in their own right, the specific stories around 1990 cents suggest that a perfect storm of errors occurred during that year, with multiple varieties slipping out, from clipped planchets where part of the metal disc was missing during striking, to die cracks that left jagged raised lines across Lincoln's face or the memorial, to repunched mint marks where the letter D from the Denver Mint was stamped twice leaving a doubled effect. Each of these anomalies turning what should be a disposable 1-cent coin into something worthy of protection in a collector's safe. And when we talk about value, we must also consider rarity and demand, because while a minor error might add a few $100s to a coin, when the population of that error is extremely low, like the legendary 1990 no-S proof cent which exists in only a handful of examples, the price skyrockets beyond imagination, leading to auction records where ordinary-looking pennies in pristine condition fetched sums that rival luxury cars or houses. And this is how the mythos of the 1990 penny began to grow, with collectors whispering about coins reaching valuations of up to $11 million depending on condition, provenance, and uniqueness. And when you break down why these coins could command such figures, it becomes clear that it is a mixture of human error at the mint, the obsessive nature of collectors who will stop at nothing to complete their sets, and the sheer rarity of survival, because many of these error coins would have gone unnoticed and been spent into circulation, scratched, worn, and lost to time, leaving only a few preserved examples to enter the world of high-stakes auctions where millionaires and institutions bid against each other. And as we analyze further, it is worth imagining the possibilities of what other errors could exist in 1990 cents that may not yet have been discovered. such as mule errors where an obverse die from one denomination could have been paired with the reverse of another by mistake, a scenario that has occurred in other years with spectacular results, or transitional errors where a coin might have been struck on a leftover planchet from another year's metal composition, or even dramatic die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the memorial across Lincoln's portrait. And if one of these ultra-rare pieces ever surfaced, it could easily explain valuations reaching the multi-million-dollar mark, because the allure of finding something no one else owns is at the core of numismatic passion. And while the average person may struggle to comprehend how a 1-cent coin could possibly be worth as much as a mansion, collectors understand that the combination of rarity, historical significance, and era uniqueness makes it possible, and with every story of someone discovering a valuable penny in their change drawer or coin jar, the legend grows, inspiring more people to check their own coins, to examine dates, mint marks, and subtle doubling with magnifying glasses, hoping to stumble across the life-changing prize. And this widespread interest further fuels demand, because the more people that want a coin, the higher its price climbs. And so the 1990 penny stands as a perfect example of how human imperfection in a highly mechanized minting process can yield treasures beyond comprehension. And when we think of its journey from the factory floor where presses churned out billions of coins, to the rare few that slip through with errors, to the pockets of unsuspecting people who may have carried them for years without knowing, to the hands of keen collectors who recognized them for what they were, and finally to the auction blocks where they traded for millions, we realize that these stories are not just about coins but about history, chance, and the incredible value that society places on rarity. And the 1991 cent valued at $11 million embodies all of these themes in one small copper-plated disc, reminding us that treasure can be found in the most unlikely places, even at the bottom of your change jar. And as we close this journey into the mysteries and marvels of the 1990 penny, keep in mind that the world of numismatics is full of surprises and opportunities, and that sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest stories. And if you enjoyed diving into this exploration of errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make the 1990 cent so valuable, make sure to stay connected, because there are countless more tales of coins that turned ordinary people into millionaires waiting to be told. And if you want to continue this adventure with us, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another story that might just change the way you look at the coins in your pocket. Next, we dive into one of the most fascinating topics in the world of coin collecting, a story that will take you deep into the details of how an ordinary-looking coin, the 2005 1 cent, a penny that most people would not give a second thought to, can actually carry a value in the millions because of its unique errors and mistakes, a coin that is rumored to be worth as much as $8 million. And we are going to explore exactly why, what makes it so special, how it came to exist, and why collectors are willing to spend astronomical amounts of money to add such pieces to their collections. So sit back as we go through the incredible journey of the 2005 penny and uncover the secrets behind its value, because every coin has a story, but this one has a story so unusual that it has turned a common cent into a treasure worth big money. And to understand this, we must first remember that the United States Mint produces billions of 1 cent coins each year, the 2005 penny being part of the Lincoln Cent series, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, with Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse. But with such massive production comes the possibility of errors, and errors are where rarity and value are born, because mistakes are what collectors crave. They are tangible pieces of history that capture a moment when machines or human oversight allowed something unusual to slip through, something that should never have left the mint but did. And that is why a 2005 penny with certain mistakes can be worth not just 1 cent but literally millions. And when we think about errors, we must understand the different categories that exist, such as double die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, repunched mint marks, struck through debris, missing layers, and many more possibilities, all of which can elevate the value of a coin depending on how dramatic the mistake is and how rare it is compared to the overall production of that year. And in the case of the 2005 penny, there are known examples of coins that display extraordinary doubling on the obverse, particularly in Lincoln's eyes and in the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," or the date itself. And when such doubling is strong and obvious to the naked eye, it can create immediate desirability, because collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts to obtain coins with clear, bold double dies that stand out as highly unusual. And then there are 2005 pennies struck on the wrong planchet, for example struck on a dime planchet, which results in a coin that is the size and weight of a dime but carries the design of a cent. A type of mint error so strikingly unusual that only a handful might exist, and when they do surface at auctions they bring in prices in the tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, and if an especially dramatic example were preserved in pristine condition with full detail, it could easily climb into the millions simply because rarity and demand fuel the numismatic market. And beyond wrong planchets, you have dramatic off-center strikes where part of Lincoln's face is missing or the design is shifted so far that it looks like a modern art piece. And these can also be worth thousands depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date is still visible, because if the date is present, collectors can tie the error to its year of mintage, and that makes the coin significantly more valuable. And then you have broad strikes where the coin was struck without a collar and spread out wider than normal, creating a distorted but complete design. And while some might dismiss these as oddities, advanced collectors actually prize such unusual shapes, and in high grade these too can be highly valuable. And moving to other mistakes like die breaks or die cracks, the 2005 penny has been reported to show cuds, which are raised blobs of metal that appear when a piece of the die breaks away and allows metal to fill in the gap. And the more dramatic the cud, the more valuable the coin, because collectors love bold, unmistakable errors that could not be confused for post-mint damage. And with the billions of coins produced in 2005, even if hundreds or thousands of small errors exist, only a select few are dramatic enough, pristine enough, and rare enough to ignite bidding wars that can elevate their value into the stratosphere. And this is where the talk of an $8 million penny comes into play, because when you combine an extraordinary error with near flawless condition, provenance, rarity, and collector demand, the value can skyrocket. And there have been instances where coins thought to be common sold for millions simply because of a rare minting error or unique variety, and that possibility is what keeps collectors searching through their pocket change every day, hoping to discover the next great rarity hiding in plain sight. And to truly understand why a 2005 penny can reach this kind of value, you must consider the psychology of collecting, where owning something unique that no one else has is the ultimate prize. And in numismatics, that uniqueness often comes in the form of mistakes, because while regular coins are produced in the billions and are common, an error coin is one of a kind or one of just a handful. And the smaller the surviving population, the greater the demand, and thus the higher the price. And this is why a coin that costs just 1 cent to make can be worth more than a mansion, because rarity and desirability are far more powerful than face value. And when word spreads that a specific 2005 penny has an extraordinary error such as a double die so dramatic it can be seen from across the room, or a mule error where the obverse of a cent was accidentally paired with the reverse of another denomination such as a dime or nickel, or a transitional error where a coin was struck using the wrong composition planchet, then collectors begin to dream of owning it. And dreams are what drive prices up. And when 2 or more wealthy collectors compete at auction for the same one-of-a-kind coin, the sky is the limit, because bidding wars can push values into millions. And once a coin achieves such a price, it cements its place in history as one of the most valuable coins ever sold, and future collectors will remember it, study it, and covet it, which sustains its high value. And that is the beauty of the numismatic market. It is not static but dynamic, shaped by human desire, rarity, and history. So when we look at the 2005 penny, we must imagine all the possibilities of error types that can exist, the various mint facilities like Philadelphia and Denver producing billions of coins, the chance of small oversights creating varieties unknown to the general public, the thrill of discovery when someone finds one in circulation, and the avalanche of attention that follows when experts authenticate it and declare it genuine. And suddenly that humble copper-plated zinc coin that everyone else overlooked is now a star worth millions. And while the average 2005 penny will forever be just a cent, the extraordinary few with the right combination of mistakes, rarity, and desirability are destined to be legends, pieces of numismatic art that will outlive their finders and pass down through generations, each time retelling the story of how a tiny error turned a coin into a fortune. And the lesson here for everyone is simple: never underestimate the power of mistakes, because in the world of coins a mistake can be the most valuable feature. And so keep your eyes open, check your change, and always remember that the next great discovery could be in your pocket right now, waiting to change your life, just like the 2005 1-cent coin that some say is worth $8 million. An unbelievable but true testament to the magic of numismatics. And before we close this incredible journey into the story of the 2005 penny and its errors, remember that this world is not just about coins but about the stories they tell, the history they carry, and the excitement they bring. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries and values of rare coins, make sure to stay connected, because we will continue bringing you more unbelievable stories of treasures hiding in plain sight. And until then, keep collecting, keep searching, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to discover a penny worth a fortune. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. Last. Today's deep exploration, we are going to talk about the astonishing case of the 2013 1-cent coin, a humble penny that most people would simply overlook or spend without a second thought, but this very coin has turned into a phenomenon in numismatic circles because of errors and mistakes that pushed its value into the realm of millions, with certain examples being rumored to command an extraordinary price tag of as much as $4 million, and as surprising as it may sound, the reasons behind such astronomical worth are rooted in a mixture of history, minting processes, human error, unique accidents, rarity, and the fascination collectors have with anomalies that tell a story beyond ordinary circulation. So let's dive into every aspect of why the 2013 penny has become a legend and how tiny details make the difference between a coin worth just a cent and one valued like a mansion or luxury car, starting with the year itself, because 2013 was a time when the United States Mint was still producing the Lincoln Shield design pennies that had been introduced in 2010 as a replacement for the Bicentennial and Lincoln Memorial reverses, and the Shield design carried its own symbolic meaning representing unity, defense, and the endurance of the nation. But like every year, billions of these pennies rolled off the presses, and among those billions there were only a handful that slipped through with errors that would catch the eye of vigilant collectors, making them worth unimaginable sums. And it is these mistakes that transform an ordinary copper-plated zinc coin into a numismatic superstar. So when we talk about a 2013 penny valued at $4 million, we have to understand that the key lies in the unusual features that set it apart. For instance, off-center strikes where the design is not fully on the coin but shifted dramatically to one side, leaving blank areas of planchet exposed and creating a visual oddity that collectors crave. And then there are double dies where letters or parts of the design appear duplicated, especially visible on inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date itself, giving the coin a ghostly doubled appearance that screams rarity. And even more subtle errors like die cracks, cuds, or plating bubbles can increase the value when found in pristine condition. But the most valuable and rare errors of the 2013 penny come from extremely scarce occurrences such as coins struck on the wrong planchet. For example, when a penny design ends up on a dime planchet or foreign coin blank, shrinking its size or altering its metallic composition, and when such a spectacular error is confirmed, it becomes a one-of-a-kind treasure, driving collectors into fierce bidding wars where the final hammer price can skyrocket into millions. And the story does not end there, because condition plays a major role, as professional grading services assess a coin's state with meticulous detail, and a flawless mint state. Error coin with luster and sharpness can bring exponentially higher values than one showing wear or damage, which explains why the top 2013 error pennies in high grade are so highly sought after. And then we must consider the psychology of collectors, because in the numismatic world rarity is king, but rarity combined with beauty and historical context turns a coin into legend. So when a rare 2013 error penny surfaces with eye-catching features and perfect preservation, wealthy collectors who want to own a piece of history bid against each other without hesitation, driving the value from thousands to hundreds of thousands and ultimately into the millions, creating stories that capture global attention and inspire everyday people to check their own pocket change in hope of finding hidden wealth. And this anticipation, this dream of discovery, adds fuel to the fire of the coin's desirability, making the 2013 penny one of the most talked about modern rarities. And if we analyze the possibilities further, there are also transitional errors where planchets intended for earlier or different coin compositions slip into production lines. So imagine a 2013 penny mistakenly struck on a copper planchet from decades earlier when pennies still had a higher copper content. That kind of mistake creates an anomaly that blends eras, giving it both historic significance and incredible rarity. And when authenticated, such coins can fetch jaw-dropping sums. And then there are misaligned dies that can cause parts of the design to be skewed or overlapping strangely, adding to the oddities that collectors chase. And in the case of the $4 million penny, stories swirl around examples with extreme doubling, unique planchet errors, and immaculate condition, making them the stuff of legend. And while some skeptics may wonder how a single cent could reach such heights, the truth lies in the market dynamics of scarcity and passion, where wealthy collectors with deep pockets compete for what may be the only surviving example of a specific minting blunder. And this competitive bidding transforms what seems absurd into a reality. And just like rare art or diamonds, the value becomes what someone is willing to pay. And history has shown again and again that collectors will pay millions for the chance to own something no one else has. And that is precisely the magic behind the 2013 1-cent coin's astronomical worth. But beyond just financial value, these coins tell us a story of how fragile and imperfect human and mechanical processes are, because the US Mint employs sophisticated technology, yet even with precision machinery errors still happen, and each error is like a fingerprint of history, a testament to the unpredictability of production, making these coins not just collectibles but artifacts of industrial and cultural significance. And so when we look at the 2013 penny, we are looking at more than money, we are looking at a window into human fallibility and the extraordinary potential hidden in ordinary places, and that is why collectors treasure them so dearly. And as you listen to this story, you may be wondering what to look for in your own 2013 pennies, and the answer is to examine them closely under magnification for signs of doubling in the lettering, off-center designs, unusual metal coloration that may hint at a wrong planchet, missing details from die wear or striking pressure, or dramatic die breaks that leave raised ridges across the coin. And while most will not be worth millions, some can still fetch hundreds or thousands, but the dream of stumbling upon the holy grail $4 million error is what keeps people searching, and that is the beauty of numismatics. It combines history, art, economics, and treasure hunting all in one. And stories like the 2013 penny prove that even in modern times, when billions of coins are produced with high-tech standards, mistakes still slip through to become wonders of rarity, inspiring awe and capturing imaginations. And if you pause to think about it, there may still be undiscovered 2013 era pennies sitting in jars, drawers, piggy banks, or circulation, waiting for a sharp eye to notice them. And that possibility excites both experts and amateurs alike, reminding us that treasures are not always buried deep but often right in our everyday lives. So as we unravel this tale of the 2013 penny worth $4 million, we see that it embodies rarity, error, condition, desirability, and storytelling, all combined into a single small coin, and that is why it is celebrated as one of the modern marvels of US numismatics, showing us that even the humblest of objects can hold secrets of immense value and meaning. So if you enjoyed this exploration and want to keep discovering more stories of hidden fortunes and numismatic legends, make sure to stay connected, because every coin has a story, and who knows, the next life-changing discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now. And with that, I thank you for joining us on this adventure into the mystery of the 2013 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors by reaching values up to $4 million, proving once again that the world of coins is filled with endless surprises and opportunities for those willing to look closely and believe in the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary. So stick around, share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and like for more incredible stories just like this one.